This film is very much one of those love it or hate it films, along with the rest of the films from the post-Renaissance era. Although to get to that point, there were a lot of changes that were made for this film. Changes that made for a totally different Koda and a totally different Kenai. This is the original story of Brother Bear. So unlike in The Lion King, where the story kind of changed a lot throughout the drafts until it became the final story, with Brother Bear, there was pretty much a first story that they came up with, and then they moved on to a story that was pretty similar to what the final story is now. Oh, and by the way, it was going to be called Shadow Bear, and before that, still, it was going to be called Bears. So the original story of Shadow Bear was a story about a boy named Cody. He lived with only his dad because his mum actually died during childbirth. And Cody's mum's death really affected his dad and made his dad become very distant with his son. But Koda actually had a special power. He could transform into any animal that he wanted. But the only issue with this is that if he was an animal and the light touched him, he would stay that animal forever and he wouldn't be able to turn back into a human. But Cody was a bit of a rebel. He kept going out and he didn't turn back into a human until just before the sun rays hit him. But one day when Cody, who was now a teen, had an argument with his dad, he ran out of the house as an animal and he ended up running into some villagers. These villagers, not knowing that it was Cody, started to attack him, so he ran away, and during this time the sun was rising and he ended up being hit with a ray of light. At this point he had turned into a bear because he wanted to defend himself against the villagers, but he was destined to stay a bear forever because the light had touched him. So kind of like in the actual film, he ends up falling into some water and he ends up looking into some water, and usually when he's turned into an animal, he can look in the water and still see his human form. But because he's now permanently an animal and he can't change back, when he looks at his reflection, all that he sees is a bear because that's what he's turned into. So obviously he doesn't know how to act like a bear, and he ends up running into a bear that is twice his size that is about to kill him, but he's actually saved by a bear called Grizzly. And this bear basically takes Koda's role. As Koda taught Kenai all that he needs to know about being a bear, Grizzly taught Cody everything that he needs to know about being a bear, and he basically looked after him. So during his time away from home, the boy was starting to miss his dad and he wanted to head back home. So they started heading back home, and when they eventually got back, it was a snowstorm, so they hid out in a cave until it was all done. But while they were in the cave, a volcano actually erupted and caused the snow to melt from the snowstorm and caused an avalanche to go in the village. So Cody went down to the village to help the villagers out, but when he went to his dad's house, he didn't see him there. All that he saw was his amulet. And thinking his dad was dead, he turned back, but then it was revealed that Grizzly was actually his dad all along, and that he actually had deep regrets for not looking after his son and Cody's mum a lot better. So the boy wanted to change back into a human, but his dad decided to go instead to the edge of a mountain and let the rays of sun hit him while he turned into a bear, and he stayed a bear forever along with his son. So really the basic premise of Brother Bear is still there in Shadow Bear, although obviously a lot has changed since then. So when they moved from this draft to what was going to be their next draft, they had a bear called Grizz, who was basically Grizzly and basically Tug. So yeah, they were going to keep the big bear around, and he was going to actually be voiced by the same person who voiced Tug, Michael Clark Duncan. And yeah, they were going to have the same brotherly kind of relationship that Kenai and Koda have. But Grizz actually caused a big debate within the development team for Brother Bear. Some of the people, with the directors included, wanted to keep Grizz around because they already had a really great script for him and he was a pretty great character. But the other side didn't think that he was lovable enough, and they just felt like it's hard to get attached to a really big bear. But eventually the other team won. Koda was put in place of Tug, or Grizz, sorry. And the directors actually eventually started to like Koda. But after that came the issue of song choices. So originally there was going to be a song that they referred to at the time as the fishing song, although its name was going to be changed. This was actually going to take the place of Welcome, and there's a link to the song down in the description down below. The full song's on YouTube. I personally didn't really like it, but it was going to be there. It was going to be more about the bears fishing and eating and swimming and playing. That's basically the lyrics to the song. Whereas Welcome's more about the kind of bond between the bears, more than just what they're doing. So yeah, they eventually just moved from the fishing song over to Welcome because it's a much better song. And then there was going to be a song called This Can't Be My Destiny. I can't really say too much about this song because they only played a little clip of it during the bonus DVD for Brother Bear. But yeah, this song was basically going to be in the same place as On My Way, but it was going to be from Kenai's perspective instead. So it was going to be a much more negative, kind of down song. But they felt that it wasn't really a good place to put a down song right in the middle of the film because people are just going to stop watching, they're going to lose interest, and I mean, after the downer, as in emotional wise, I mean, people dying and all of that at the beginning of the film, you wanted something to kind of lift the film up a bit, so that's why they switched it to Koda's perspective and made On My Way. But if there's one song that critics always complain about, that's No Way Out, and more specifically its placement within the film. So, I actually addressed this in my full review of this movie. I am a bit kind of torn if this is a good place to put it, to be honest. But the reason that they did this is because they thought the scene was a bit too sad and too kind of heavy to have in the film, just as it was. In this scene, Kenai basically says how much he appreciates Koda and how much it's helped him and things like that. And then he just goes and drops the bombshell that he killed Koda's mother, and then the scene afterwards is the same. So it's a very hard scene to watch, to be quite honest. And they felt like that was the fact too, so they decided to put No Way Out in place of that. Oh, and just as a quick note on that, it was originally going to be Grizz's brother that was going to be killed, not his mum, or Koda's mum in that case. But mostly, after they got to the second draft, or after they got past the point of Shadow Bear, there wasn't too many major changes. I mean, yeah, there were a few deleted scenes here and there. There was going to be a squirrel called Murray who was going to be kind of like a comic relief. And there was also going to be a scene after the ice cave scene where Koda was basically complaining to the moose about Kenai and how it was annoying and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the original story of Brother Bear. If you like this series, be sure to let me know down in the comment section down below. This is the second episode of this series, so if you want to see the Lion King version, it's up there. Be sure to like this video to let me know that you like it. Be sure to subscribe to see more videos like this video, as well as other animation reviews of various movies that I've animated, of course. So I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video.